Did you know that according to the Harvard Business Review, 80% of turnover results from bad hiring decisions, and those could be avoided? The cost of turnover could be pretty significant. Aside from different kinds of studies citing that cost of turnover could be anywhere between like 20% to 30%, depending on if it's what level of position it might be. Honestly, the cost of losing an employee could be loss of morale. Also, this energy and time, especially if you're a solo practitioner or you have a small staff right now, the amount of time and energy it takes to be ramping someone up and then having them not work out and then having someone new and coming on board, it could be very costly for yourself if you're going to be training them, or for your people you hire and their morale when people come and go. For example, Peter Drucker was a pretty well-known management consultant, and he said that the ability to make good decisions about people, it represents competitive advantage because very few organizations are good at it. And that's the case for a lot of holistic health practitioners going at it solo or a small team and just trying to wing it themselves. And so it's one of those things where it's like we don't usually care about it as much until we felt the pain. And so, what I would say is that smart holistic health practitioners actually get ahead of this. And instead of just winging it and trying to figure stuff out, being able to get help and guidance with this from someone who's more experienced with this, because a lot of the things that, you typically think you need to do in the hiring, in attracting and then screening and also onboarding someone and ramping them up, it's like you don't know what you don't know until you get to the point where maybe things don't work out as very well. And it's actually going to cost you more money when people don't work out or you have a bad experience and it could leave a bad taste in your mouth. Another issue that I sometimes see many holistic health practitioners run into, which I talked about in an earlier video, is that this idea of procrastinating hiring. It may not seem like that big of a deal, but if you end up procrastinating, pulling the trigger when you feel like you could either just take home more by not hiring someone because it's going to be an expense, or that you're afraid of hiring someone because you're afraid of being able to cover their expenses, then you might sit in this tricky like place of where you're getting closer and closer to burnout that way. I've seen it happen so many times where, putting your head down and feeling like I could just do this, I could keep doing this, and then getting to the point of burnout where you can't even feel like you have any energy left to even think about hiring someone. Hiring someone under those circumstances is just more likely to lead to a feeling of like, I need to get this taken care of right away. And so then when that kind of energy, sometimes judgment can be like off, right? And so it's something that's so important to get ahead of before getting burnt out to that end. The main two things that I would say about what I wanted to really convey to you from my over 20 years of experience in recruiting, and also having a lot of different experiences with team members and sometimes things not working out, and learning a lot from every single experience. What I would say is two main things. One, the cost of a misfit hire is a lot more costly than doing your best to do it right in the very beginning, in terms of doing your best to attract someone really good who's in alignment and screening out someone who's not as good of a fit. Like, so you have a good approach in place for that. Of course, nothing is completely fail proof, but we could do whatever we can to not be swayed by emotions, or just mainly by really liking someone and then feeling really good in the beginning, like, yay, everything's going to work out so well. I really like this person. And then as you get into working together, you realize, oh, I think I'm not sure if this person was really quite the right person for this role. So being able to get ahead of that will really help you avoid a lot of heartaches, and from both sides, from yourself and from whoever you hire. And so I would say there's one lesson that I had and want to impart part on you. And then the other is that if we end up just putting our heads down and continuing to just work and work, because we feel like we don't have time to hire someone, or it's going to take away from how much we take home when we hire someone because they're going to be an added expense, or we're afraid that we aren't able to cover their expenses after we hire them. At a certain point in time, you've got to pull the trigger, and ideally earlier than when you get to the point where you're already like way past needing to hire, because at that point in time, you're likely to be burnt out. And if you're in burnout mode, it can be really hard to make good decisions. There's an acupuncturist I know who's in that position. He would stay late, and he'd even be involved with billing and stuff because he wanted to be able to keep all the money. And his family would be like, I'm not seeing you very much. He has kids. And then he ended up getting really burnt out to the point where now he's looking at, okay, I would like to hire some help. But then, coming from that space energetically, it's just, it can be tough, because at that point in time, you might feel like I need to hire someone yesterday, pretty much. And it's easier to end up making rash decisions because time isn't as much on your side. So really being able to hire ahead of when you absolutely need someone is really key to growth, while having a good work-life balance and being able to serve your patients well without you running ragged too. It's because of these experiences that I've had personally. I've made a lot of mistakes in hiring and onboarding people for my own team. Like, I was really good at it hiring for other companies. I have a different recruiting company, and we were really good at hiring for other people. But when it came to myself and my own team, like, I would make certain mistakes. And sometimes I would hire a good person, but then I wouldn't really onboard them in a way that was really supportive for them. And then it didn't work out. So if you feel like you've had a bad experience, I can relate to that. And so from having all these many years of experience of searching for and finding good talent for both of my companies, and we've had really good people as well, which I've been really proud of as well. And I'm really happy that they're a part of our team. Also, from my many years of recruiting experience for other companies, plus experience of helping holistic health practitioners with growing from solo practitioner to having their first hires, whether admin or associates, to even having multi-practitioner practices in multiple locations and growth, and having the practice run more without them. So helping holistic health practitioners with that over the years. From all this experience, I've noticed that it's something that's not taught. And then it's like you get to it when you get to it. And then most people don't put the value to it to really figure it out. Like, they just try to wing it as they go along, and then end up having these experiences, bad experience, and then feeling like, well, it's hard to find good people, or this just isn't working because, and I don't want to manage people. And yet one of the wonderful things that can really support growing and helping more people who need you is to go beyond just you being able to help people. Because even if you're an amazing clinician, you're limited by hours in a day. You're limited by things that could come up in your life, or family or health, that could be unexpected. So when you can have your vision be where other people can be a part of, and they're also helping more and more people, other practitioners, they may not have an entrepreneur mind or skill set with that, but you do. And then you could create jobs that could be helpful for other people, and they could just focus on seeing patients, and you're able to bring patients in for them to see, and you're going to be able to help together, help more and more people that way. So that's why I decided to hold the 4 weeks to new hire program that's starting. And I am just super excited for those of you joining us already. And it's really a 4 week process to accelerate finding the right hire. It's not just about finding a hire, it's about finding the right hire in a couple of key steps. Number one is, how are you attracting the person? I used to just think posting up an ad that seemed like it was good, that was enough, right? But what are better ways to be attracting than just posting on job boards, especially if you've been doing that and you haven't really had as much luck lately with it. And then how do you end up number two? Once you have good candidates, a nice pool of candidates, then number two, how are you screening them so that you're able to suss them out well? Because people do prepare for interviews. And so how could you get to the heart of it and then suss for good fit? It's not just interview questions. It's not just reference check questions. In fact, if you're mainly doing that, then you're missing a big part of the process that can really help you evaluate for fit the best way possible, so that it minimizes the chance of turnover, which we talked about earlier, could be costly. Then number three is then onboarding them. So once you actually have a good person hired, like even if you have a good person hired, but have you ever, well, two possibilities can happen. If you don't have a good onboarding process in place, it could feel clunky and it could feel like a lot of work that you don't have time for to really get someone ramped up. And then the other thing that can happen if you don't have a good onboarding process is that even if you have a good hire, they might actually not do as well. Or even if they do decently, have you ever tried to, like maybe you've hired before, you know what I'm talking about, like have you ever tried to make changes down the road about how you would really like your standards to be, but then people are used to doing things a certain way, and it's just really hard to have them then make that shift. And so it really helps to have certain things be very clear in the beginning, but how do you do that? How do you best communicate with your new hire and really support them? Do you have a good 90-day onboarding process in place? So each of these areas is very important to be able to attract and then enjoying working with someone you just hired, and really have them be able to either make more money for you when you're not there and help more people when you're not there, or they're freeing up your time so that you can focus that time on seeing more patients or clients or doing whatever it is that you enjoy most in your business. And so really helping you with these three key milestones, three key steps, and doing so, accelerating the process in 4 weeks. So that, some of our clients have experience even during this process getting someone good hired. And then some of our clients have experienced how this has accelerated their hiring and help them have a system that made them more confident. There's a client of ours who, she was starting to feel a bit jaded. She had to go on maternity leave, but then she actually had an experience with like hiring an associate before, and it wasn't as good of an experience. Even though she takes a lot of responsibility for that, she felt like she was a little discouraged. And then after 4 months of searching, she still hadn't found a good person. And she thought, well, maybe it's because of the place I live in, and all kinds of things started, coming into her mind about this all. But then she was a part of and then she ended up being a part of our 4 weeks to hire program. And then she ended up getting someone good hired. And since then, she actually has 6 other practitioners now, which she could have never imagined before, when even one good associate hire was very challenging at that point in time. So really helping you get these structures and systems in place that support multi-6-figure, 7-figure growth. So helping you put these structures in place that help support multi-6-figure, 7-figure growth. So click on the link and register now. And I very much look forward to working with you and helping you. Anything we have done for you, templates and scripts and frameworks for, we'll give it to you so you don't have to reinvent the wheel from my over 20 years of recruiting experience. For example, just even something very simple as when one of the reference check questions that I tend to ask. I remember asking someone once, doing some screening for my own business, and the person I asked these reference check questions of, he's like, wow, I've never heard that one before. I need to write this down for my own screening process. So these are things that I'm pretty certain you have not seen some of these approaches of screening that can really help you get to the heart of alignment. And so we're going to have 4 live calls, which means that you'll have that individual guidance from me about your individual situation, and then helping you every step of the way with this. So you feel really supported and you're able to make good decisions, and you could use this throughout your whole career as well. So I look forward to seeing you in our 4 weeks to new hire program. Register now, click on the link, register now, and I look forward to seeing you and helping you.